I'm going to call to order the regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting dated Tuesday, October 23rd, 2018. Time is 7 p.m. If everyone could rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd also like to thank SCTV for recording the meeting. It's always helpful. And now we do the roll call. Please answer here. State your name. Holly Bem.
Here.
David Blooming. Absent. Aaron Levitt-Smith.
Here.
Greg McCormack. Absent. Alan Needham.
Here.
William Rice. Here. Elizabeth Berg.
Here.
Richard Cortez. Absent. Gary Lungarini. Absent. 1, 2, 3. We have 4 regular members. That is a quorum. The normal size of our commission is a maximum of 6. So Elizabeth, I'd like to ask you to take the role of a full member tonight. So that gives us 5 members. Okay, next on the agenda, approval of the minutes of October 9th. Mr. Secretary, would you mind walking us through that?
I have a question though. I won't be able to vote on them. I wasn't here. Do we
Okay.
have enough people that can vote on it?
Mhm.
That were here?
I can't vote on it. It's not great. It's not enough.
We have enough voting members. You guys can abstain.
Don't you need at least 4 people voting on it? No? Just a majority of who's here.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay? Question.
Okay, minutes of Tuesday, October 9th, page 1.
Just one thing, maybe commissioners and Tammy. Richard Cortez was indeed present, okay, but he was seated as a full member. Can we just make a note to say that he was an alternate promoted to a full member?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else, page 1? Page 2?
Yeah, I have a question on 56 and 57 because we made a positive referral, but not with the exception. We changed that to read a certain way. So it was an exception, but we changed the wording to add alternate or alternative, and I don't remember which. Remember, it wasn't that we said yes with the exception. We said yes with this additional word, right? Do you remember, Holly?
You're trying to.
It was around the car and
Screening.
and we went round and round about J, letter J, and I think where we landed was we were going to give it a positive referral, but we wanted J to read. I'd have to.
Yeah, that's great.
Do you know what I mean?
Look at my notes.
So it wasn't that we excluded, it was that we changed the wording for J.
Right, so we suggested a change, well, not even suggested, we wanted our response to say, quote, this is for subsection J of that proposal.
Oh, yeah.
Full visual screening is to be provided for additional areas of off-street parking.
We amended section J to additional parking.
Yeah.
Additional,
Instead of
that's a
new,
nice, yeah.
instead of new, we wanted the word additional.
That's good catch.
Yeah, I just didn't, because it wasn't, yeah. Was it additional? See, I thought it was.
Oh, I wrote it.
Okay, all right.
I wrote it.
Right, yeah, we added in here
Okay,
the word additional.
okay.
So, Tammy, I don't know if you have, maybe I'll just show you.
Additional areas, that's right, so that if they went off the driveway, That's what
So
we
we
had
just
to,
wanted
Additional parking areas.
areas, yes, okay,
Not,
good.
not the whole thing.
No, that's right, all right, but I just wanted that
Well, thank
reflected.
you.
Four
That's you.
additional
Yeah.
areas.
See how easy it is to forget after that? That's
You
what's
know,
so
that's why I
important.
always write.
No, it's, I thought I had, but
Okay. Good.
What's that?
thank you.
Anything else on page 2? Page 3? Okay. All right, can we have a motion to approve the minutes of Tuesday, October 9th as amended?
So,
I said, so second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion carries. Okay, abstentions.
I abstain.
I abstain.
Okay, so we had three ayes and two abstentions.
did you see Elizabeth?
Mhm.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Very good, thank you, Alan. Next. On to old business. We have no pending or outstanding public hearings, no applications, but we do have 2 referrals. First one is CGS 8-3A, referral to the zoning commission for zoning commission application 18-58 of Mark Greenberg, agent, Betty Fiora, owner, for zone change from R40 to B3 on the property located on the northerly side of Albany Turnpike on the border of Simsbury and Canton, shown as Assessor's Map A20, Block 503, Lot 002-A, Zone R40. Just for the commissioners, as a reminder, the zoning commission has a public hearing scheduled for 11/19 on this application, so we need to make a decision tonight. Okay. Is there anyone who would like to present information regarding this application? Yes, sir. Please state your name and your affiliation with the application.
Philip Doyle, company is LADA, land planners. We're here in Simsbury for 30 years or so over on West Street. And we are the land planner for the project we put together. I think the town planner might have given you a narrative that I had written that described how we think the application is in conformance with the POCD. We've made an application for a zone change. I think we provided some maps that show where the property is. Betty Fiora's family has owned this land maybe since the beginning of time, certainly since I've been working. It's a piece of property that is a couple of thousand feet deep that terminates with frontage on Route 44. And it's a piece of property that by accident of geology or geography has a municipal boundary that runs through down through the center of it. So it takes about 8 acres that are in the town of Canton, and that town line separates those 8 acres from the 18 acres that are in the town of Simsbury. The town of Canton has all of the, in this kind of yellowy gold tone, land zoned commercial. The entire depth of the property, Hoffman on the Simsbury side comes up to probably half the distance of the frontage. And so we have a piece of property it's got 5,000 feet. It's almost 30 acres of land, but it's got 5,000 feet of perimeter, about 5,800 or so feet of perimeter. It's got 4,600 feet of perimeter that is abutted by commercial property. So we've looked at this and said, just from a land use point of view, this would be appropriately zoned B3 because we have B here, the B3 in Hoffman, and the B zone in Canton is very similar to the B3 in Simsbury, so the zones work well together. This piece, though, has frontage on Route 44, and its access is, the reality of the access is, practically speaking, if any of us were going out to build that road, a driveway today, we'd be coming through the town of Canton, where the grades are more gentle and come up through that direction. So we've looked at this and said, from an economic development point of view, it's more appropriately used for commercial purposes than it is for residential. Because most of the frontage of the property itself is in the town of Canton, and it's all zoned commercial. The property does have an access that was negotiated some time ago for utilities and a driveway down to West Mountain Road. But that access is actually like the tree line that is behind the auto park at Hoffman. So if we actually wanted to develop that property for residential purposes, we'd be taking, if we chose not to go out to Route 44 through a commercial zone, it would, and we probably would not want to do that, we'd come down basically through Hoffman. And our analysis of that would be is that would just lead to a constant deluge of the zoning staff with complaints, because people on a daily basis would be driving around the back of the auto park, and the houses would overlook the auto park. It would not be attractive. It would be close to Route 44. So from our point of view, it's a better use if it were a commercial use. Now, that's our point of view. We then went and took a look at the POCD, and rather than read you this whole thing, I hate it when people stand around and read you what they wrote, because they like to sound like they know what they're talking about. But I went through the POCD in detail, and it seemed to me that the 2017 rewrite of the POCD spoke in a very clear voice. And the clear voice says a major concern of the citizens of the town is economic development. And there's some wording in there that talks about taking advantage of locational opportunities and perhaps even rezoning based on locational opportunities. And I think that was, I'm not sure what page that was on, but we think here we have that type of opportunity. When you look at, for example, just off the top of my head, the key map section is a map that's in the POCD that talks about key areas. Key areas may be villages, but it also highlights every major arterial in the road. And one of the major arterials that it highlights, or in town, is this section of Route 44. So our interpretation is those properties are associated with the arterials or key parcels. This is a perfect opportunity for rezoning for commercial use along Route 44. As far as we know, Simsbury has no other available undeveloped piece of property for tax base growth, job growth, economic development along Route 44 than this piece. And when I wrote in there, I went to the state POCD and I went to the regional POCD. In the regional POCD, the state has this area indicated as a high funding priority area if someone were looking for grants, whether it's a town planner in Avon, town planner in Simsbury, town planner in Canton, because it's a nexus where all the towns come together, and it's got a lot of commercial development. The regional plan of conservation and development talks about very clearly that this particular location is appropriate both for the town of Canton and for the town of Simsbury as an economic development resource. So we believe it's very clear. You guys probably know better than I do because planning commissions are always deeply involved in the preparation of a POCD. That it seemed to talk in general about the importance of economic development and seemed to realize that opportunities were going to make themselves available and that they should be seriously considered when they do make themselves available. We think it was talking about us just by coincidence, and that's the case we made.
I know there's a specific reference to, in the POCD, suggesting a zone change for a particular parcel in that area. And that's right where West Mountain comes together with Bushy Hill.
Yes, it's the Bushy Hill Lane area that they refer to, and one of the things that happens, Mr. Chair, is that if we were to develop this as residential, or someone else would, we'd be coming down with an access drive directly into that Bushy Hill Lane area. The access drive almost comes out directly opposite that. We think that's a mistake to do, to take more residential traffic into that area, particularly when there's a thought of rezoning this. And there's also talk about access management and all related to this. And we'd certainly be applying access management if we developed this piece as a commercial piece, because Betty's land is both Canton and Simsbury, and we'd be developing it as a unified mass. And to make sure that we weren't talking out of school about that, we asked for a meeting. We had a meeting a month or so ago with both the town planner of Canton and the town planner of Simsbury to make sure that they were all in agreement that it would be appropriate to have one access drive to this piece of property coming from whatever the appropriate location would be on Route 44 in Simsbury, in Canton, to make sure that we had traffic light signals set up in coordinating with both towns, make sure that the utilities in Canton were going to Canton, the utilities in Simsbury were going to Simsbury, and we were all in agreement that that was the way it should be done. And we specifically talked about the Bushy Hill Lane area and really wanting to avoid a direct connection there, because we thought it would just be inappropriate to hammer in to that area.
The frontage on Route 44, is it like right behind Best Buy?
Yes.
Then going west?
It is.
Up the hill,
So there's a cliff there.
there's the cliff, and that cliff is actually part of the property, and then it starts to drop off as you go further along. But
And how far down does it go to,
This is
going west on Route 44?
About 1,000 feet.
And where's that, is it to?
It's got about
Korea?
That's Rich Korea speaking, we all know. But it's about 900 feet of frontage on Route 44. And there's only, though, of that frontage, there's only about 125 feet of frontage that's actually in the town of Simsbury. And again, because when the lot was made, 100 years ago, whenever the lot was made, it was just one big piece of property. Still is one big piece of property, but a town line, in effect, creates a division. So the strip in Canton is 8 acres, and that's got 700 feet or so of frontage. And there's only the place where just near where the sign is that says "Welcome to Canton," that might actually be in Simsbury. And it's that area that's the frontage in the town, and that's where we couldn't take frontage. We couldn't take access through there. It's just too steep.
But it's, can I pose a question about comment you made? You were talking about your access road would go into Bushy Hill, but actually on the map it looks like it's going into West Mountain Road.
Well, yeah, it would go into West Mountain Road, but it would go into the Bushy Hill Lane area. That's all we were talking about.
Triangle.
Oh, yeah.
Bushy Hill Lane's right where the Stop and Shop entrance is.
Yeah, and I
There's
think
stop
that-
signs in, there's stop,
Yeah, and that
stop
little
lights.
road there, Bushy, the one that comes out at that second entrance to Stop and Shop, if you take that, I think that's Bushy Hill Lane that comes right out of here, goes through, that's about where the driveway comes down, or where the
Do you
driveway
think
would come
that
down.
would cause problems? You said something about there would be zoning traffic complaints about the traffic behind.
Well, this is just my speculation. If someone were to come along and actually develop this piece as conforming residential, if access were coming down through the Hoffman piece, where there's a legal right to do that, you'd be driving past and adjacent to all of the auto park. And you'd be overlooking the auto park, and I think that's just a recipe for disaster.
So the only entrance would be off of Route 44. When I drive down West Mountain Road, there's a not very improved road with a chain across it. Is that the other access?
I think that is, yes.
There's actually two of them over there.
Is
One
there
has
two?
a chain.
Yeah, that one looks like it
fence.
goes behind the wooden fence.
Yeah.
So the question I have is, how does this impact the homes on the northwest section? There's quite a few homes there. There's even a couple back further.
Yeah, there are homes in here. Most of the homes are towards the street. There's, I think, 2 homes that are set to the rear, and Rusty Palmer has a house that's at the top of the hill in the back. And for zoning purposes, if we have the land rezoned, we'd end up leaving some type of significant buffer in that area.
Are the neighbors aware of this at all? Anybody talk to them?
No, but we probably will be talking to them. We haven't even gotten to the point of a public hearing yet.
Which is soon.
So do you envision commercial buildings extending throughout the property, or what?
We don't know. We don't know what. Right now, we've got to get through this process to figure out what kind of piece of property we have to market. But you can imagine there might be some commercial buildings with some parking lots, and how big or small that is, I just don't know right now.
What's the topography like behind those homes? It looks, when you drive down the road, you can see it. It looks like it rises up.
It does. There are places where it rises up, and it shows on the POCD that there's a section that shows a 15% or greater slope, and that would be sort of in this area. And you'd avoid those. The rest of the site, when you get in there and walk around, you realize it's relatively open and much flatter than you expect.
I wasn't clear. I meant behind the homes. What's the topography?
This area goes up, but it's relatively gentle. It's like a big bowl, and
So anything you build there is quite visible to these homes.
if you took all the trees down, it might be, whether it was a house that you were building there or a commercial development, that would be true. And most likely, that's never going to happen, whether it's a residential development or a commercial development. You
They
need
would
buffers
leave
left.
a buffer.
Oh, sure. There's plenty of room for that.
I was just trying to get a sense if there'd be these large buildings looming over the homes.
Yep.
Because they were higher up.
And that's something that we have to be very careful about.
Yeah, because when I looked at it, it's a ridge, and even access to 44, there's a retaining wall there. I mean, I don't know, there have to be a lot of work to be able to get an access road onto
Well,
44.
they're not going to do that. On the 44.
Onto 44,
Yeah.
because there's a retaining wall just right here, that's right, and when you look at it, it goes down, I mean, it's steep. I don't know how you, I mean, I'm not an engineer, but.
Yeah, we're not here to debate
Right.
the engineering merits of
Right.
the application. We're here to
Not our problem.
That is
decide
true.
its, adherence or at least consistency with the POC.
I have a question. On the map that you provided us, which looks like that one, there are lines on the property that look like they could be roads, or I'm not sure what they are. Are they ley lines?
Oh, there's a path there's a walking path that's through the property.
So this that we see going this way is a walking, sorry.
Oh, sure.
So what is this?
Oh, there's just a walking path that meanders
So
through
this
the
sign,
property.
this is not anything constructed?
No. Well, yeah, it's a path. It's not a road. It's just-
Constructed, paved?
No,
No. A trail?
that actually, if I could comment on Rich career of a commercial broker representing the property for a number of years. And when we go up there, Betty was so nice to put ribbons around the trees with a walking trail so that when people would go up to look at the property, they wouldn't get lost when we were walking through the property. And it's all just natural up there, and it's a beautiful piece of property. If if you were to go out there and take a look at it, it's just a beautiful piece of property.
Which is going to be leveled for
No,
for
not
commercial
not
buildings?
necessarily level, it would be incorporated into a master plan. very tastefully. It's, Betty has had opportunities of people wanting to blow up the mountain and slice it down to make it flat with Route 44, and that's not the developer she chose. She chose this gentleman here, Mark Greenberg, and he's not saying, hey, we're gonna take this down to 44, you use what's there and build your buildings into the hillside.
Once, should there be a zoning change, or even not, if an access road was built from Route 44 for commercial use, would we also have another chance to, you talk about buffers and taking into account nature, but does that also come before the planning commission?
Zoning.
It goes to zoning.
Everything not a subdivision.
Okay, so it's the, but they will look at they have final approval of the design and the plans.
Correct.
Well, yes, the zoning commission has a strict set of guidelines that you have to follow as you prepare a series of site plans. So whether it's buffering, maintaining trees, all of the erosion control question, that we have to adhere to all of those protections in the zoning code, and that's what we would do.
One more question about those houses. I always worry about that stuff. You just put me at ease, okay? What kind of distance do you think from the houses, the two houses that sit deep, what kind of distance do you think there is between that and the property line? And of course, your buildings would be past that.
My guess is we'd be a couple of hundred feet from them. The property is large enough that there's plenty of room for that depth of buffering.
Any questions, commissioners? Any members of the public wish to make a comment on this subject?
This is Betty Cure, she's the owner of the property.
This is my cousin.
Thank you for
I'm the driver. I just gave her a write-up. No opinion, because this is my very first exposure to any of this. So
I hope you find it exciting.
I have no idea what's going on. It is a pretty piece of property, though. I have hiked up there on some of the trails, and it's nice up there.
Okay, so we have Aaron?
Well, no, I just go, so they would address these issues of access to 44, obviously.
I'm sure there's all types of approvals.
Okay.
State DOT and
Okay.
Yeah, if the way it works is, I don't know how many of these you see, but if zoning approves a zone change, we then have to get from the developer some sense of what he'd like to do. Let's say it's a building, commercial building with some parking lots. We position that, work on grading of driveways, things like that. We have to work with, as Bill said, we have to work with the DOT to make sure we have appropriate access, and that's why we've talked to both planning departments to make sure, because we all know that traffic on Route 44 is heavy at different times of the day. You want to pick the right place, you have to have the right site distances, so there's a lot of study and money that goes into all of that. And then we have to deal with the zoning regs in both communities to make sure that everything looks attractive and functions and is safe and everybody is protected. Because we don't want to have neighbors coming in being upset at public hearings and meetings. So it's a long process. There's a lot of thought that goes into it, and both planning staffs that the towns have are great planning staffs, and they protect the public interests if we miss something. So it's just a detailed, long process that we go through.
Yeah, I actually drove several, because I was concerned about the houses.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, it's zoned commercial, residential, and there's nobody behind them, and, so the people along West Mountain, some of the houses are close to West Mountain, so they've got big, and there's lots of trees, so, I'm with you, Alan, I was concerned about,
So
yeah.
keep in mind that,
Just want to be sure.
When the zoning commission has their public hearing.
Yeah.
The abutting neighbors have to be
Have to be
notified, okay, and that's their opportunity to express their thoughts on the proposal, on the application.
Right, I just want to go on record as saying that was one, I'm just making a statement. Yeah, we need to
And
do
Jared,
that.
I share that
No, no,
because you look and you see 3 properties that are set back within pretty close proximity to 3 buildings. And when they built that, that's quite a distance from Route 44. So here they are building on a ridge line, buying property that abuts residential zone property, thinking, okay, now I'm going to sink my life savings into a very nice home that's very secluded, and the next thing they know, they could have an industrial park next door. Up on a ridge where you're going to be seeing.
So let me, Robin, do you remember what the permitted uses are for zone B3?
It's pretty much anything we allow in all of our business zones, so it incorporates B1, B2, and the B3 zone. So anything commercially related, recreational, like centers, like a tennis center or something to that effect.
Retail, restaurant.
Retails, restaurants, yeah, I mean, it's pretty
Gas
all-encompassing.
stations.
Mr. Correa?
Yeah, I had bought a house right next to the shops in Farmington Valley, and we had a little buffer there, a little hillside, and because of dark lights, dark skies, 14 foot down, some people come to my house, they look up back and go, oh my God, look at all the beautiful nature you have here. I said, come with me. And we go for a walk up on top of the hill, and then only then could they see the shopping center. So it was a natural, just a nice, beautiful buffer. The only time I ever heard a snowplow backing up was at Vincent's funeral home, which was down the street from me. It wasn't from the shops. And I lived right on top of it.
I think,
And it helped my value when I sold the house.
many things that come here, you have to look at the POCD in total. And it'll argue with itself sometimes, and you have to just decide which arguments are the more powerful. Okay, I'm always concerned about homeowners. My opinion is, in this instance though, that I would personally balance that with the need for commercial development. I'm assuming, I'll take your word for it, that we're going to make every effort to make this as comfortable for the homeowners as possible. I don't know how comfortable they'd be with a housing development on top of it either. Something's going to happen there. We could use the tax revenue. I'm sure that they won't like the sound of trees being felled 100 feet behind their house. I didn't either. Those things happen. So my opinion is that in looking through the POCD, I see sections talking about protecting neighborhoods, and I think we should be very cognizant of that. And I see sections talking about economic development. And again, my opinion is we have to choose between the two sometimes. My opinion is I would choose on the side of commercial development.
Someone want to make a motion?
Once you've made the sale,
You want to
Can I
try
ask
it?
you a question? And maybe this is utterly
No
stupid, but
questions?
you look at this map, and it's almost like the parcel is in 2 different areas. This part here, by this delineated by one of the walking trails, is surrounded on both sides by A3 and has that frontage on 44. The back end is surrounded by nature, although I'm not sure what the I stands for.
Industrial.
Industrial. It's not as many uses as B3,
Well, that's Canton's rules.
that's Captain's property.
so we have to check that out. And backs up to that property. Is it possible to subdivide the zone? Or is it just
Well, that wouldn't be for, unfortunately, that wouldn't be for
I
us.
don't
Then
think
you're gonna
that's not the application that's
Yeah.
been
not-
submitted.
I don't think we want to mess
The
too much
access
with
road
Mrs.
goes right
Fiori's
there.
right to develop her property.
Well, but that's not what's, to be fair, what's before us is, are we going to give this a positive roll?
That's right.
I mean, not that
Right now, it's
We should vote on what was submitted.
right.
Anyone want to make a motion?
So, so I would say that we would give this a positive referral, so we're looking for a referral, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we would give a positive referral based on the fact that given aspects of the POCD, and I actually think that many of them are outlined for us in this letter, but certainly on the side of economic development, and that we would give a positive referral, that it is in line with the 2017 POCD as it relates to economic development and tax revenue.
So you're suggesting we give a positive referral on
Yes.
CGS 8-3A?
Correct.
Okay?
I'll let
Because it
Robin
meets
catch up.
the
Are you
goals
trying to
and
write this
objectives.
motion?
So go ahead.
Okay, Tammy?
Got her.
Yeah, you got it? Okay, so that was a motion.
Yes.
Can I amend the emotion? The emotion,
You
not
can
the
suggest
emotion,
it.
the motion. Can I suggest an amendment to the
Second
motion?
first.
Somebody has to
Let's
second.
second the original motion. I'll second it.
Well, she's trying to just amend it before we make it official.
But you have to
Now
second.
we're going to discuss it.
Yeah.
Then you can.
Okay, so I'd like to suggest that we add to that the caveat. So you've mentioned the commercial development and economic development aspect of the project. I'd like to add a caveat that respects the adjacent homeowners' interests, which is also part of our POCD.
That's
think we
within,
need
I
that
don't
in
think,
Motion, that's in the minutes as having been discussed.
yeah, I think that's.
And
They're looking.
They said the zoning rules already have buffers and protections written into it. Yeah, how strong they are.
Okay, so I don't, Elizabeth, I don't think there's sufficient support to add
Because
that
a good
amendment.
deal of the concern was, what about these property owners that are abutting the property? So it would appear that these three members, myself included, are concerned about the property owners next door to us, the homeowners.
But the way you stated it, and I can't remember exactly what you said, but it was very subjective. It was respect, what? Respect the property owners.
Well, in our POCD, we talk about development that takes into consideration the existing properties, neighborhoods, etc. I don't recall the exact wording.
We could add a line that says, having considered both the economic development aspects and the needs of the neighborhood, our decision was.
A positive referral based on the economic development.
Okay, so try to restate it.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ellen.
All right.
You're the wordsmither.
Okay, so just a protocol, we have a motion, right? And we have it seconded.
I'll
Now
withdraw that.
you're
and then
withdrawing,
Then we'll put a new one
okay?
in. Okay?
Yep. So your motion is withdrawn.
Actually, it was my motion, so should I withdraw?
Oh, that's right, it's Aaron's, yeah.
I just overtalked you.
That's okay.
Would you do that?
I will for you guys. Yes, I will withdraw my motion to be reworded by wordsmith Needle.
I don't know about that, but, okay, I move that we give a positive referral to the zoning commission for application 18-58. Having discussed the POCD and comparing and contrasting the sections that relate to commercial development and neighborhood protection, we feel that we should give a positive referral. I don't think we need anything else.
Yep, that sounds good. I'll second it again. Any discussion? All in favor of the proposed motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. And very salient points too.
I'm concerned, I hope the protections are strong. You're rich, I'm gonna hold it too.
Okay. Next on the agenda, another referral, CGS 8-38, referral to the zoning commission, application 18-59, of Joel Weissman and Gerald Roisman, agents, 241 to 245 Hot Meadow Street, LLC, owner, for zone change from I-2 to B3 on the property located at 241 to 245 Hot Meadow Street, Assessors Map F16, Block 116, Lot 003B. And again, and this is also scheduled for a public hearing, zoning commission, December 3rd. So we have a little time.
Two questions.
Okay, so I don't think
The
there's any.
applicant is not coming.
The applicant is not coming, okay.
That was my second question. First question is, when we get a text amendment regarding zones or zone change, I would like to be provided with a zoning map.
Okay.
So if we're creating a text amendment that in all I-1s, I'd like to know where the I-1s are.
Okay.
Okay? Now, they are in the POCD, but I can't read them.
Yeah.
They're small, okay? There was a time when a zoning map was up on the wall. And that came in handy. It came in handy a lot of
Yeah.
them. People would go over and point to it.
So if I'm not mistaken, I think the GIS application, you can filter on whatever zone you want to highlight, I think. Is that the way it works?
But
I
I'd
don't
like
know
to
if
see,
you guys on your side have access to do that. You might.
Okay.
We definitely do on our side.
So you could light up all a particular zone, you know, on the map.
And show it to us.
how do I see the map in the meeting?
No, yeah. It's online. Well, if you were Rich Cortez, you'd have your iPad out, you know, zoom it around.
Well,
We can certainly do
I think
that.
there's
Although I
something to
think
do,
you
but
have
I think
checked
having a big paper map hanging on the wall, I can't tell you how many times
Okay.
I've seen people gesture to that and point at it.
Yeah, that's a
What
great
are you
idea.
talking about, and they say,
Yeah.
there it is, I think that's good. The second thing is, personally, I much prefer when applicants come for something this major. I can read, I can see that, but I'd like to hear what they have to say. I'd like the ability to ask some questions, so I prefer to put this off until they can come, that's my opinion.
I second that one. Okay.
Because we do have a little wiggle time. True.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Just the comment that came to mind when I saw this application is, we just gave a positive referral for the parcel
Exactly.
2 lots down,
I know.
right? Now, whether this was a cascading effect, you know, this applicant was waiting to see what happened.
It's getting to be
I
a
don't know,
habit.
I also agree with Alan that I would really like to have the applicant or
Yes.
their representative at least come to our next meeting. So I move to table the discussion on zoning, or the referral for zoning application 18-59 until our next meeting, which will be, when is that? Let's see, November 13th, yes. So Robin, if you could please, you know, either pass it along to Mike or somehow let the applicant know that the commission would like to have them come and support their application.
We can do that.
Okay.
And I did ask him about the maps. so-
Oh, did you? I'll make sure it gets
He
done.
didn't say
Okay.
that.
Okay, so I made a motion to table this until 11:13 meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Who seconded that?
I did.
Alan Needham. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to do something a little, just kind of a, I'm not even going to say it's Robert's Rules of Order, but there is a discussion point under section 6, General Commission Businesses. Remember, we've been talking about the subdivision regulations. I would like to make a motion that we add item C to our referral, oh, that's referrals, Robin.
I was just gonna say, so I think that is actually your application number, because it's your application number. So I'm assuming you guys have had no subdivisions this year, which was
That's
just
correct.
your
Yeah.
first official application, so it would be 1801.
Okay, so it's 1801. Should it be under new business, receipt of new applications?
That I can't tell you, because it kind of looks like you might have received it at your last meeting.
Yeah, we have received it,
So it would actually be old business,
applications?
applications, and you'd be setting your public hearing on it.
Okay. So everyone understand, if you look at the agenda, under old business, item 2, applications A, it said none. I propose, or I make a motion that we add this, taking up Planning Commission application 18-01. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, so that motion to amend the agenda has been approved unanimously. Okay, I'm sorry, who seconded?
I did.
Aaron's. Okay, so the background here is that we've been working on potential revisions to the subdivision regulations. If you remember, I think 2 meetings ago, the commission authorized me to act on behalf of the commission on this subject and to work with Mr. Glidden to arrive at a mutually agreed upon draft or proposal, okay? I met with Mr. Glidden last week and confirmed that the changes that we have been discussing, they were started from the previous planning director, were accurately reflected in the application. So I would like to, I don't know if I have to make a motion, but I'd like to set the public hearing for this application right now in this meeting. Okay, so the public hearing, of course, would be noticed.
We'll get copies prior.
Yep. Yep. So when would be a good time for that, Robin?
Probably your second meeting in November to make sure we have adequate time to advertise it.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, we also have to submit to the Regional Planning Commission.
We have time to get that in, so we need that in 35 days. That, no, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope, that's exactly 35 days, so you're probably not gonna, let's do December 11th to be safe.
Okay. So I make a motion that we establish a public hearing for Planning Commission application 18-01 to be held December 11th, 2018. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I'm abstaining only because I won't be here.
Yeah, you can vote
Oh,
on the hearing.
I changed it to A.
To abstention?
No, to
Aye.
A.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. Robin, just please pass along to Mike that at that public hearing, I guess I'll have the opportunity to talk to him, that you know, I'll expect him to be prepared to share the highlights of the changes
Okay.
with the public audience.
Yep.
And the commission.
Okay.
All right. I'm not aware of any new applications that have been submitted.
Nope.
Anything else, Robin, you want to share with us, correspondence or?
Just in your packet is a kind of save the date. We're having Tom Hennick, I don't know if you guys have ever gone to a stream of information, kind of nuts and bolts that he gives to communities. He'll be doing one here in Simsbury on Monday, October 29th at the library from 5:30 to 6:30. So if you're able to attend, that's your invitation to come. And then you also have your Planning Commission adopted regular meetings that you guys did at the last meeting for you in your packets. And then just the Planning and Zoning Connecticut Federation kind of update for you.
Okay.
Is there any update on, I think, replacing Michael is in his position?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
It's been posted internally. That posting closes on Friday. And then if there's no internal candidates, it will go out to the public.
Thank you.
Yep.
Great update.
There you go.
Any other comments, commissioners? Big baseball game.
I know, go.
So I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Meeting is adjourned at 7:50.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.